This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Monday, the 31st day of May in the year 2021. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here's what we're tracking tonight. Retired Assistant Police Commissioner and the current Chairman of the Police Service Commission, Paul Slow, today broke his silence on the ongoing issue relating to the fraud charges against him. During a press conference with his attorney, Selwyn Peters, Slow detailed the events which he said led to the allegations and subsequent charge against him. He believes the charges against him are politically motivated and related to his refusal to have the president influence promotions in the Guyana Police Force through the Police Service Commission.
The charge and the allegation are a diabolical plan by politicians and some dishonest, vindictive, and corrupt senior police officers of the Guyana Police Force to remove me and Mr. Conway from the Police Service Commission. The effort to remove us from the Service Commission was accelerated when we were written to by the Prime Minister to show cause why he should not advise the President that we should be removed from the Police Service Commission. We have both responded to the letter from the Prime Minister.
Mr. Slow said in September last year he met with President Irfan Ali, and at that meeting the President tried to persuade him that some members of the force, specifically Senior Superintendent Calvin Brutus and Faisal Karimbash, should be promoted to Assistant Commissioners. Slow said he informed the President that there is a process which must be followed before persons are promoted.
And it was clear at that meeting that the President wanted me to use my influence at the Commission to have those persons promoted. I advised the President, apart from the process I mentioned before, that the Commission has certain rules. One of those rules is that if a person has a pending disciplinary matter before the Commission, the person is not eligible for promotion.
Both Brutus and Karimbash had pending disciplinary matters before the Police Service Commission. Slow detailed how he was contacted by someone he knows and was told that the Attorney General wants to meet with him but was afraid to reach out to him directly. He said he informed the person that he is prepared to meet with the Attorney General, but made it clear that he will not be taking or carrying out any illegal orders.
During the course of the meeting, Arafat, as he's referred to, told me that the purpose of the meeting was that the Attorney General, Mr. Nandalal, wanted to meet with me, but he was afraid to reach out to me directly because he thinks that I is reaching out to be rebuffed. He then asked me if I would be willing to meet with Mr. Nandalal. I told him that in my capacity as chairman of the Police Service Commission, I will meet with anyone. However, I was firm and I told him that no one will get me to do anything illegal. No one will get me to compromise on ethics, and therefore that was a prerequisite. That was to be told to whoever want to meet with me.
Mr. Slow explained that in December last year, the Police Service Commission met to consider promotions for officers after receiving recommendations from the police force. He said several ranks were recommended for promotions, and in compiling the shortlist, the PSC took into consideration that both Brutus and Karimbash had outstanding disciplinary matters against them, and therefore they were not given the green light for promotions. He said after the President became aware that the two senior officers were not on the promotion list, the President called him directly, inquiring why his people were not on the promotion list.
And he wanted to know why his people, and I quote there, his people, Brutus and Karimbash, were not on the short list. I went through the same thing of explaining to him about the disciplinary process, and he was very, very upset. He said that, look, people have these disciplinary matter pending. How long would they be pending? Why are they not completed so that people can be considered for promotion? And it was a rough conversation. I would describe it as raised voice.
Mr. Slow said he has no doubt that the charges and allegations against him and the other commissioner are to remove them from the commission and to replace them with a commission favorable to the government. And Attorney Selwyn Peters, who's representing Mr. Slow, said the President's intervention is unprecedented and amounts to an illegality.
But it just shows you the incestuous relationship that certainly reeks in the context of the matter before the Prime Minister now to adjudicate.
And in response to the Prime Minister's request for Slow and Conway to show reason why he, the Prime Minister, should not recommend their removal from the Police Service Commission, Slow and Conway, through their attorney, have dispatched a more than 500-page document to the Prime Minister. Attorney Selwyn Peters said even if the government decides to go ahead and begin a process to remove the two members of the Police Service Commission, it is a long process that could take months. The life of the current Police Service Commission expires in August. More news coming up in just a moment.
Guyana, we've been through it all.
But as a people we have
weathered every storm
And risen to every challenge.
Because it is the people of Guyana
that gives it its strength.
all the people,
regardless of race,
class or religion.
we are one people, one strength.
And now is our time. A time to rise. Together, we rise.
I'd like to encourage persons to take the vaccination. There are options in terms of which vaccine you would like to take, and at this point we are encouraging those in the senior category to take the vaccine as they are at higher risk, and we have seen the number of fatalities and persons who have suffered from complications globally and in Guyana. This is adding to a layer of protection which we would have had before from the mask, socially distancing, as well as ensuring that we wash our hands and sanitize. So I had it, really doesn't feel badly. I'm not a needles fan, really doesn't feel badly, and I would really like to encourage everyone to get vaccinated. This is the way we save lives. So save your life and save the lives of others. Get vaccinated.
Mobil 1 is more than oil. It's many oils. It transforms at the molecular level. When cold, it's thicker than honey. When hot, it's thinner than water. Mobil 1 adapts and readapts to last longer. 16,000 kilometers between oil changes. That's your engine evolved.
Sol Guyana is the authorized distributor of Mobil lubricants.
At Sash Financial, we create strategies for strengthening business and personal finances while helping our clients to build sustainable wealth. Our financial and business consultancy services are uniquely tailored to ensure every client receives quality packages and optimal results. Our financial services include financial reporting and analysis, financial status assessment, internal audits, bookkeeping and records management, financial planning advice, tax returns. Our business advisory services are related to business plans, business startups, operational improvement, business management, document preparation, procedures development, efficient marketing. Call or WhatsApp us today for your free consultation on telephone number 592-665-6045. Sash Financial, strengthening businesses, building wealth.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right, walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong, be the one to live right.
Mom, what are you doing with GPL on your list?
Child, you forgot I have to pay GPL?
You got time with GPL.
I have to keep these lights on. The customers who think in that manner and refuse to honor their obligation to GPL are obviously not playing their part in ensuring quality service delivery. So, I will continue to pay my GPL bill on time, every time.
I recognize the value of your point, Mom. You were right.
Welcome back. While not directly addressing the concerns and accusations made by the chairman of the Police Service Commission, retired Assistant Police Commissioner Paul Slow, President Irfan Ali today rejected the accusations that he tried to influence the work of the commission as convenient and opportunistic. During a press conference, Mr. Slow alleged the president called him directly to inquire why his people were not on the police promotion list last year. The president was inquiring about Senior Superintendents Fazil Karambaksh and Calvin Brutus. Karambaksh, the head of the Special Organized Crime Unit, has brought criminal charges against Mr. Slow and other retired senior officers in relation to their review of the police standing orders. In a statement today, the president said he finds it convenient and opportunistic that Mr. Paul Slow would make the accusation that he tried to influence him and the work of the Police Service Commission. The president said this is not only far from the truth, but is a malicious attempt to change the narrative. Mr. Ali said he met with Mr. Slow and other independent commissioners and raised several concerns at the time. He said as president, his desire is to see the commission function professionally and independently. He said if Mr. Slow is saying that he tried to influence him, then he wants to know where are the results of that influence. The president also questioned the timeliness of the release of Mr. Slow's statement. Slow provided details of a meeting and telephone conversations he had with the president, as the president allegedly sought to get him to promote some senior police officers who were not shortlisted for promotion by the Police Service Commission. Slow said the president even sought to butter him up by promising that he would have him continue as the chairman of the Police Service Commission when the life of the current commission ends in August. Some very sad news to report now. The media fraternity in Guyana was thrown into mourning this morning as the Ministry of Health confirmed the death of popular broadcaster and former journalist Mondale Smith from COVID-19. Smith passed away in the intensive care unit of the COVID hospital at Lilienthal after being admitted there last week. Fighting back tears, the president of the Guyana Press Association, Azima Ragaber, expressed shock and sadness at Smith's passing. She said his death was confirmed to her by the health minister. Ragaber and Smith worked together for a number of years at Prime News.
Mondale and I met about 20 years ago at Prime News. That is the newscast owned by Dr. Beckles, Julia Johnson, and Adam Harris. Mondale was already the face of Prime News. He had worked there with Marcia Hope, Sahodra Rampersad. Melissa Walton had joined just about the same time I had joined, and we were a pretty young news team, eager to do our jobs and, to bring news to the country. Prime News at that time was aired on Channel 9, and it was one of the go-to newscasts, like the very few that were around at that time. Mondale brought a lot of vibrance to the newsroom. He always had ideas. He always was very eager to go after those ideas, and he had stories that were very close to his heart that he would cover. He covered our sport roundup, which was sponsored by Courts at the time, and he always made it very interactive. He always made it something to look at, something very entertaining. And he did some interviews that would remain with us and remain with anybody who looked at the news at that time. He also did our entertainment roundup, which he made his duty to do every weekend because he liked the camera. He liked to entertain. And thinking back about all that he would have brought to the newsroom in that vibrancy, he really touched the newsroom. He really touched everybody out there that he would have interviewed, or the audiences that would have looked at the news. He really touched them in a different way with his storytelling.
Mondale Smith's media career spanned more than 2 decades. He worked at the Guyana Broadcasting Corporation and later NCN as a radio broadcaster, and later transitioned into his journalism role, working for a number of years at Kaichor News and Prime News. He also hosted a number of television, music, and entertainment programs. In 2016, he landed a job as the personal assistant to the former Minister of Education, Nicolette Henry, and he remained in that position until the government changed last year. He was offered another position at the Ministry of Education but opted to leave and expand his catering business. He also hosted a daily show on Mega FM before the pandemic forced the show off the air. A few months ago, Smith further expanded his food business by opening his Chef Mondale Creole Corner on Church Street. Friends and colleagues remember him as a happy soul and someone who always pushed himself to the limit and followed his dreams. He's also being remembered as someone who was always excited about life and living and loved Guyana, especially its rich culture and food. Smith became ill with COVID-19 last week and remained at home for a number of days before eventually being forced to seek medical attention after his condition worsened. His last post on Facebook was made on the 25th of May when he featured the Tamil Man gospel hit, "Take Me to the King." Mundell Smith was 45 years old. News Source extends its sympathy to his family and friends and the entire media community. Let's tell you now that Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony has announced that Guyana is set to receive 150,000 doses of the US-made Johnson & Johnson coronavirus vaccine by mid-June. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is a one-shot vaccine and has an efficacy rate of more than 70%. Appearing on the Jumpstart Morning Show on 94.1 FM, Minister Anthony said the Johnson & Johnson vaccines are being sourced through the African Union and Guyana has already made a down payment on its allocation.
We have been working with the African Union for some time now, and the African Union has allocated to CARICOM as a whole 1,500,000 doses of vaccine, and of that lot, Guyana has been given approximately 150,000 doses. So just last week they have asked us for a down payment, and we have made that down payment. And so we're in the process of finalizing the logistical arrangements and transfer and that sort of thing. So I estimate sometime by mid of June, we should be getting those vaccines into Guyana.
The health minister said the vaccines will be rolled out as part of the government's nationwide vaccination drive. He said communities in the outlying regions that are difficult to reach are the ones that will mostly be targeted with the Johnson & Johnson one-shot vaccine.
It's really more convenient because once you give the person the first shot, that's it. You don't have to get a second shot. And, in the interior, we have tremendous challenges. I don't think people appreciate the challenges that we have because the Sputnik V vaccines, you have to keep them at -18, -20 degrees. And, out there we don't have electricity. So we have to take ice boxes, fill it with dry ice, keep these vaccines at the right temperature, take it out to these remote communities. When we get out there, we sometimes the whole community takes the vaccine. In other cases, just a few people in the community would take the vaccine. And when we finish there, we have to go back 4 weeks or whatever weeks later to administer the second dose. So it's quite challenging, especially in the interior area. So having this Johnson & Johnson vaccine where you can do the first dose, and in those areas, I think it would be the most appropriate vaccines for those areas. So it's something that we're looking at.
So far, more than 198,000 persons have received the first shot of the COVID-19 vaccines, and more than 60,000 persons have received both shots. Minister Anthony said a second dose of the Sputnik vaccine will arrive this week to continue the immunization of persons who have already received the first shot. He also said those who have received the first shot of the AstraZeneca vaccine can access their second shot once it's been more than 4 weeks since that first shot. The health minister said while the ministry has been encouraging persons to get a second dose of the vaccine 12 weeks after the first, it is also recommending that they could get that second dose between 4 and 12 weeks after the first. He's encouraging young people to get vaccinated, pointing out that more than 50% of those hospitalized are young people. Amid persistent rainfall across the country, the Civil Defense Commission is urging residents along the Cuyuna and Mazaruni rivers in Region 7 to immediately move to higher ground due to current and anticipated rainfall and mudslides. Since the start of the rainy season several weeks ago, Region 7 has been among the regions most affected, leaving persons and businesses in low-lying areas in the region counting their losses. The Civil Defense Commission said the National Weather Watch Center forecasts that conditions will likely lead to continued flooding of areas already underwater. The CDC is urging residents to take the necessary precautions to safeguard life and property against flooding, heavy winds, and mudslides. In an earlier statement, the CDC said it deployed teams to conduct rapid assessments and verifications of flood reports across the country. The assessments were done in collaboration with agencies including the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, the Ministry of Agriculture, Regional Democratic Councils, Neighborhood Democratic Councils, and Community Development Councils. The CDC has already established shelters to accommodate affected residents in a number of communities. Several areas across the country are bracing themselves for more flood waters as heavy rainfall is expected to continue to pound the country overnight. The Hydromet Office and the Civil Defense Commission have been warning citizens about flooding in several communities and encouraging them to take precautions. The Ministry of Health is also warning persons to stay out of flooded areas as there could be the presence of waterborne diseases. Flooding has been reported in all 10 administrative regions, with communities in regions 1, 2, 6, 7, and 10 appearing to be the most affected. In Region 10, parts of Guyana remain under more than 5 feet of water, with residents being forced to use boats to traverse what used to be streets. The CDC has been moving into several communities with relief items. Regional officials are calling for more support from central government. Here in Georgetown, a number of areas were under floodwaters yesterday. Government and city council officials were assessing the situation. The water has drained off in some areas. The mayor of Georgetown has also dismissed accusations by some government officials that the city council deliberately did not open doors to sluices and cokers. Mayor Narayan said such a suggestion is simply foolish. The Director for Public Prosecutions will be moving to have Marcus Bisram committed to stand trial for murder again, now that the Court of Appeal has thrown out a ruling by the High Court that dismissed an earlier committal. In a unanimous decision, the Court of Appeal dismissed the earlier ruling by Justice Simone Ramalho, which saw Bisram being released from prison and the matter discontinued before her. With the Court of Appeal's decision today, Bisram is to be handed over to the police and will have to remain in custody until his case comes up for trial. His attorney has since indicated that the matter will be taken to the Caribbean Court of Justice. Marcus Bisram was extradited from the U.S. in 2019 to face the charge of murder related to the killing of carpenter Fayaz Narindat. The extradition came after a long battle in the U.S. courts by him to block the extradition. Once in Guyana, Bisram was charged, but his case crawled through the courts as there were several issues regarding the prosecution's readiness and the first magistrate who started to hear the matter. The magistrate was forced to remove himself from the case. The preliminary inquiry eventually got underway, and after listening to the witnesses who were called during the inquiry, the lawyers of Bisram submitted their no-case submission. A number of other persons have also been charged in connection with the same murder. The murder victim, Fayaz Narindat, was beaten to death and then crushed by a car in Berbice after it was alleged that he turned down advances by Bisram. By the time the matter was investigated, Bisram had already left the country. A young Guyana Defense Force corporal lost his life by drowning on Saturday after a boat with soldiers capsized in the Uraru Creek in Region 9. A statement from the Guyana Defense Force said Lance Corporal Barrington John was among a group of soldiers being withdrawn from the GDF observation post at Karasabai, while during an attempt by the soldiers to cross the swollen Uraru Creek, their boat capsized. The GDF said Lance Corporal John went underwater due to the strong currents, and he was later recovered in an unconscious state. He was rushed to the Karasabai hospital, where doctors pronounced him dead on arrival. The late soldier was originally from the Region 8 village of Paramakatoy.
Fuel it up and drive, super 95 to the fuel it up and drive, super 95 to the protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guy Oil Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guy Oil's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive!
My name is Nigel Dharamlal. I'm the Minister of Local Government and Regional Development. Today I had the opportunity of getting vaccinated. I took the first dose of AstraZeneca. The process has been very seamless. As a matter of fact, I think that I was concerned first about the needle getting into me. And then I realized a mosquito bite is actually more difficult to endure than the prick of the needle. So I'd like to encourage all and sundry all across Guyana to get vaccinated. We have teams across our country. Please go out and get vaccinated. It is part of our commitment to you to ensure that your life is prolonged. COVID is serious and malicious disease, and you have to join us in this fight to eradicate COVID.
I'm Joseph Harmon, leader of the opposition, and I'm here to encourage all Guyanese to take the COVID-19 vaccine. In the coming days, we will be rolling out a few activities as part of our increased efforts to help us fight against this deadly virus. Join us as we come together to protect ourselves and our loved ones. None of us are protected unless all of us are protected. Get vaccinated today, protect you, and protect your loved ones.
Across the region tonight, in Trinidad and Tobago, more young people without comorbidities are dying of COVID complications, and the patients are becoming younger, according to the Ministry of Health in that country. One official said that they work at the ICU and they have plenty of patients who are coming in and who do not have any other attributable factors like age. The official noted that such patients were between the ages of 35 to 55 years old, an age demographic that was rarely seen during the country's first wave of COVID-19. The official said it is also becoming more challenging for the health authorities in Trinidad to treat COVID-19 cases as the numbers continue to spiral out of control. The UN's human rights chief has called on Colombia to launch an independent inquiry into the deaths of anti-government protesters in the southwestern city of Cali. The city has been in the epicenter of protests against President Ivan Duque, and 14 people are reported to have died in recent days. The UN said those responsible should be held accountable. Over the weekend, the president of Colombia deployed troops in Cali to quell the unrest. Streets in the city were reported to be deserted after the military intervention. However, demonstrators in the capital of Bogota vowed to hold rallies on Sunday to demand an end to the police violence. And finally tonight, international news. China has announced that it will allow couples to have up to 3 children after census data showed a steep decline in birth rates. China scrapped its decades-old one-child policy in 2016, replacing it with a 2-child limit, which has failed to lead to a sustained upsurge in births. The cost of raising children in cities has deterred many Chinese couples. The latest move was approved by President Xi Jinping at a meeting of top Communist Party officials. It will come with supportive measures which will be conducive to improving the country's population structure, a release said. But human rights organization Amnesty International said the policy, like its predecessors, was still a violation of sexual and reproductive rights. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, encouraging you to stay safe.